Happy Wednesday. This is Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel. Thank you guys for tuning in with me today. Had an interesting idea that I wanted to bring up. It was, got my glasses cocked sideways here, I see, but had an interesting idea. Of course, the Vols are off this week, basketball off until Saturday. And so I was kind of looking at this team, and I was looking at some of the teams in the recent past. And the one that stands out to me for comparison, not they're the same team, but just for different reasons that I'll talk about here, was the 2018-19 team. Of course, that had Grant Williams, Schofield, and those guys that went to the Sweet 16, where Lamonte Turner has still not fouled Carson Edwards, where that ball is still not gone off of Grant Williams that was given to Purdue to get that bogus three-point attempt. But anyhow, still a sore spot for old Frank Rock. But I just think these teams are interesting because what I looked at, this team for most of the year, this current team's been ranked in the top 10. I think they fell out of it a little bit after that three-game skid. Of course, it was to Purdue, Kansas, North Carolina, three of the best teams in the country. But that 2018-19 team was consistently in the top 10 the entire season. Come up a number 2 seed in the tournament. They had an interesting tournament that year. And, of course, they lost to Purdue in the Sweet 16. Would have gone on to play Virginia, who won the national championship. But I really thought Tennessee matched up well with that Virginia team that year based on how they played. And so who knows where they could have went then. But when I was looking at these teams, I compare them because of where they're ranked and stuff. That team didn't have the depth of this team. Did they have more quality? Yes. Did they have the depth? No, because you looked at that 2018-19 team. You had Grant Williams, Admiral Schofield. You had Jordan Bone, Lamonte Turner, Jordan Bowden, Kyle Alexander. That was your top 6 guys. That's the guys that all played at least 23 minutes or more. And then you had Fulkerson, E. Pons, who would they averaged 11, 12 points per game. When they got the tournament, those minutes went down. They were more spelling other guys at that point. But what I like about this team versus that one, that was a better scoring team. Actually, they were pretty good. That was a little higher scoring team by a few points. They had 5 guys in averaging double digits. This team currently only has 3, but after Kyle Alexander, that scoring of that 2018-19 team really went down because you had, you had Grant Williams, who averaged right at 19.7.5 rebounds, Schofield 16.5 and 6.1 rebounds, Jordan Bone 13.5, Lamonte Turner was the 6th man. He was 11 points per game. Jordan Bowden 10.6, Kyle Alexander 7.3, and then your next closest one, Fulkerson, averaged 3.1 points per game, and Pons averaged 2.2. With this current team, I think it's a little more spread out when I compare them because you've got Connect 18.8. Now here's where your kind of difference is coming. You got Jonas Adu 12.1, Ziegler 10.2, and he's just recently gotten over that 10 points. So his has continued to increase. Now Josiah Jordan-James is down to 9.2. He was double digits. His scoring's dipped the last few games. Of course, I know he was sick against Alabama. Jordan Gainey 7.6, Vescovy 7.5, Meshack 5.5, Awaka 4.9, Dillon 2.6, Estrella 2.2. That's your main guys that are going to play down the stretch. What I like, too, about this team is Rick Barnes is implementing more depth as we go along, where that team was pretty much down to a 6-man rotation, and you had a couple guys would come in and, just to spell for a couple minutes at a time. You're now starting to see Estrella and Dillon get implemented a little more. They keep getting a little bit more minutes. Not a lot of minutes, but Rick Barnes is getting more comfortable with them. That's going to pay off when you get to that tournament, implementing these guys into it. But where I think this team has a chance over that was a better shooting team. That team was. And, of course, you had Schofield could go off at any point. Williams could do his thing. There's still part of me, I think Dalton Connect's a better scorer. And I know the average doesn't say that right now, but what he's done on the road, this dude has ice in his veins. Lamonte Turner had ice in his veins. There was no shot that was too big for him. No shot he was scared to take. Dalton Connect's doing the same. He's gone on the road and put up some big performances. His lesser performances were at home. Well, he's kind of quieted that the last couple of games with what he's done. And he didn't even have his best shooting game against Alabama and still had, 25, 26 points. So, when I look at that, but where this team excels at, Kyle Alexander averaged 23.7 minutes per game. He was your biggest guy on the court. He was 6'10", 6'11". Other than that, it was Schofield and Williams were the biggest guys, and that's around, 6'6". You've now got Jonas Adu up in that 6'11" range, 12.1 points, 7.3 rebounds per game. They've got more of an advantage right now. Now, teams with bigs have given Tennessee trouble in their 4 losses. That's where they've had issues at. But with Adu and with Awaka, I still think there's a world where you can implement those two in. If you've got Ziegler, if you've got Connect, and then who's your third scorer on that night? Do you implement Meshack to play some D? That guy's offensive game is better than it's getting credit for. Does Jordan Gainey, did that game he just had Saturday, does that boost his confidence where he's back a vital part? This team's going to need Jordan Gainey down the stretch. And I know he's had a rough stretch. That was huge for him Saturday. Vescovy had one of his better games scoring-wise Saturday. Does maybe he get going here as well? But you're kind of seeing what this team Connect can put this team on his back and go. Talked about when I did my video last week, the legend of Dalton Connect. There was an article in The Athletic talking about conversations Rick Barnes has had with him, showing him videos of Kevin Durant, as how now Connect has earned that same trust that Kevin Durant had with him. This guy's going to put the team on his back when needed. The biggest thing with that 18-19 team, going back to that tournament, look at those games. They beat Colgate 77-70. They had to go to overtime against Iowa. They were up close to 30 points in that game, and then something happened, and Iowa come back. And I didn't think Iowa was that good of a team either, but come back and went to overtime, and I wonder how much that took out of them. The Purdue game, they got down in the first half big. They got down double digits and had to fight back. And it was a heck of a comeback. I remember that game. I remember being fired up for it in numerous ways, fired up for the comeback and then pissed off over the calls at the end of it. But that's what this team has to avoid. You saw it at Mississippi State. They got in that hole. But I think that was a good thing in the long run, because I feel like that night, Rick Barnes found something. He turned it over to Dalton Connect and Zakai Ziegler and went. They almost brought that team back. The better team didn't win that game. Hats off to Mississippi State. They did what they had to win. They play again, Tennessee would beat them. But, that's SEC tournament or NCAA tournament if it goes to that. So probably not a strong chance of it, and you got to go by what it is. But I feel like they found something. And then Georgia, they got down. Georgia got cocky. Thought they had it in the bag until Dalton Connect took that game over. Jonas Adu, big in that game as well. I really feel, too, that they've learned something from these games against Purdue, Kansas, North Carolina, Mississippi State, because they had big guys that had big games against them. And Barnes was surprised it happened at Mississippi State because he said they'd been working on it a lot. But now I think implementing Estrella in, that may take some of that foul trouble away from Adu and Awaka. Keep them more active where they're in, because they need them. They especially need Adu. He's been big for this team this year. And I say think because I don't know. I really think that Adu, his play, what he's doing as a big man, is going to be vital down the stretch for this team. And I think that's where they can excel, where the other team didn't. That other team didn't really – Kyle Alexander couldn't really come in and take a game over. He was good. He was a good player. He did what he needed to do. He didn't have the offensive game Jonas Adu has. Adu can hit a three. He can hit that mid-range jumper. That's big for a guy his size. And, he's had multiple double-digit rebound games as well. To answer my question I had for this video, who goes further? I've said we know 18-19, Sweet 16. I'm saying this team's going at least Elite Eight this year. They have – Rick Barnes is feeling it right now. You see the comments in post-game locker rooms. You see the comments in media. He talks about, we have what we need. I've been hard on Rick Barnes before. And don't get me wrong, I love Rick Barnes. Dude and his staff, they are coaching their asses off right now, though. They figured something out and they're going with it. And this team's only getting better. Jordan Gainey, if he's back now, if he's back doing his thing, you're implementing more depth. This is going to be a dangerous team come March. Just telling you right now. Will they lose some more games prior to then? Yeah, absolutely. It's SEC. They're going on the road. They'll slip up against somebody, or they'll be a team going up to Rupp. It's never easy. They'll have their hands full going there. But I like this team's potential. There's something about this team that I don't know. Right now I'm feeling an it factor with them. We've got the dude. You know, you had some dudes on that other team, but I don't know, something along those lines. They didn't have that big. Jonas Adu could be an X factor. You got Jemai Meshack. He's probably one of the best defenders in the entire country. Okay, if there's a better one, I'd like to know who it is. The dude does it all. He doesn't care, and he could score. Still saying he could score. He's got a nice touch on his game. But I'm going to wrap this thing up. Just thought it was an interesting comparison. And obviously this won't be answered. I may revisit this at the end of the season, see who goes further. But, you know, heaven forbid, barring any injuries or anything, I think this current team has a lot of potential to make a deep run. Hopefully and possibly at least their second Elite Eight. And who knows, maybe further this year. But lots of content coming. I'll finish up my baseball preview on the outfielders coming. I don't know if I'll drop it today or tomorrow on it. Some other outlets have started previewing a little bit. I've hit pitchers, catchers, infielders already. So if you want to check that out, I'll link it at the end on here. Probably talk a little football, bring some stuff this week. And then coming this weekend, Vanderbilt preview on Friday, Vanderbilt recap after the game on Saturday. But as always, guys, thank you. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, share this out. Your support and stuff is just awesome. Thank you so much. So happy Wednesday. I hope you guys have a great day. And as always, go Vols.